Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for choosing Big Fox News. I'm Nick Smith. Tonight, the Chancellor for Pennsylvania's state system of higher education is under fire for comments he made about the system's long-term future. Matt Kleindust joins us from Corning to break down the remarks.
Good evening, Nick. Late last week, Dan Greenstein said the PASHE system was on the brink if it did not find a way to become more financially stable. Last Thursday, the PASHE chancellor met with lawmakers in Harrisburg to discuss the state's higher education network. Dan Greenstein stated that the unprofitability of some state schools resulting from decreasing state funding and enrollment threatens to bring down the entire 14-school network. Greenstein said that unless something was done, he, quote, would come back to the Senate next year with a legislative package to dissolve the system. In response, the state's faculty union released a statement calling Greenstein's comments reckless and irresponsible. The PASHE system is currently undergoing a redesign plan, which includes integrating academic services and faculty at Mansfield University and other schools. In a later statement released by Greenstein, he stated that dissolving the state system would be disastrous for students and local communities. He says the redesign process will work to preserve affordable higher education for all Pennsylvanians. Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
More than 1.1 million Mississippians have received either one or both of the COVID-19 vaccines. Health officials report 317 new cases and 6 deaths overnight for a total of 303,942 cases and 6,987 deaths. Since vaccines began, 720,000 Mississippians have received at least one shot, and another 417,000 have received both injections. There's significant movement on the vaccine front today, with AstraZeneca releasing updated information about its phase 3 trial after being accused of submitting outdated data. Jonathan Siri has more from Atlanta.
There are now more than 30 million confirmed COVID-19 cases in the U.S. as the vaccination effort accelerates. Health officials had hoped a fourth vaccine by AstraZeneca would be approved quickly, but the company was accused of submitting outdated information from its clinical trials. On Thursday, the data were resubmitted, showing the vaccine was about 76% effective in preventing COVID symptoms. That's down from 79% in the earlier report.
The final determination of the analysis of the data will be done by the FDA. Everything is going to be open and transparent, and hopefully that will dispel any hesitancy.
Other drug makers are also stepping up efforts to end the pandemic. Pfizer says its early trials are now underway for an experimental pill to treat COVID-19, while Moderna is starting work on a combination seasonal flu COVID-19 vaccine.
This is really incredible because, both flu and COVID are respiratory illnesses, and it makes sense to combine the two of them, like we see, for example, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine.
We're still averaging about 2.5 million shots every day, and at least 40 states say they'll meet or beat President Biden's May 1st deadline to make the vaccine available to all adults. A major outreach program is now underway, targeting folks who want the shot but have not been able to sign up yet.
I was surprised that there were somebody was here at the store doing the appointments, because a lot of people are having problems.
AstraZeneca says it still plans to request emergency use authorization from the FDA in the coming weeks. In Atlanta, Jonathan Siri, Fox News.
The Biden administration says it will spend $10 billion to get COVID-19 shots to low-income, underserved, and rural communities. As part of its effort to expand access, the Department of Health and Human Services will dedicate $6 billion to community health centers in an effort to expand COVID-19 testing, vaccination efforts, and treatment. The announcement also expands vaccine eligibility to all frontline workers and people aged 16 and over with high-risk medical conditions. The administration plans to partner with dialysis clinics to target kidney patients, which the White House notes disproportionately affects racial and ethnic minorities. The Lincoln Center is bringing the arts back to New York City by launching the Restart Stages program aimed at kickstarting the arts and reviving the city. Soon, New Yorkers will be serenaded by violin pop-ups in the streets, watch a Broadway play on the Upper West Side, and be able to catch musical performances or cabaret shows. Mayor Bill de Blasio says the city plans to ramp up vaccination efforts to help with launching of the shows.
The lead time to bring back a show is really extensive, and that's one of the things we've heard most from the Broadway leadership is they need answers now to be able to get the shows back as early as September.
Performances start on World Health Day, April 7th. Tickets will be offered to healthcare workers first. More than 1,000 shows will run through Labor Day. New York State is one step closer to legalizing marijuana. State lawmakers have reportedly reached a deal and are finalizing a new cannabis law. This is according to a legislative source familiar with negotiations. According to the new proposal, a 13% tax would be tacked on to retail sales of marijuana. Some of that money would go towards education and drug treatment. It would also eventually allow New Yorkers over the age of 21 to grow their own plants in their homes. An Office of Cannabis Management would be created, and they would issue licenses for different steps of the supply chain, including farming, processing, distribution, dispensaries, and retail consumption sites. The investigation into this week's mass shooting in Colorado continues. Today, we're seeing the suspect for the first time since his arrest. Jeff Paul has more from Colorado.
The suspect in Monday's deadly shooting at a Colorado supermarket making his first court appearance today. 21-year-old Ahmad Alyssa faces 10 counts of first-degree murder. He was last seen being led out of the King Soopers grocery store by police.
He'll be held without bail until such time as the court is able to determine whether or not the proof is evident and the presumption is great that you committed these crimes.
The Boulder community remains focused on honoring the victims from Monday's shooting. Last night, more than 500 people gathered at an emotional candlelight vigil outside the Boulder courthouse. People carried candles and flowers and mourned the 10 lives that were lost.
There's just something very different about it happening in your own town.
Earlier Wednesday, hundreds paid their respects to Officer Eric Talley. He was the first officer on scene after responding to calls of shots fired. Police and fire personnel lined the roads as Talley's body was taken to a funeral home.
The fact that Officer Talley went in and he gave his life to save others, there's really nothing else you can do besides stand here and salute him.
Authorities say an investigation into Monday's shooting will take some time. It was the second mass shooting in the U.S. in less than a week, prompting new calls for gun control legislation.
We need help from the federal government.
We should teach people responsible gun ownership and the ability to carry a firearm with them.
President Biden is expected to face questions regarding gun control legislation at his press conference today.
More than 16,000 migrant children are in U.S. custody, and that number is only expected to climb, while the space to house them is dropping. Ashley Stromer reports on what government officials are trying to learn from the undocumented minors and where the Biden administration is planning on housing them.
Migrants continue flooding into the U.S. illegally. Many are hiring smugglers to transport them at night.
We've dealt with the immigration population families over the past 2 years. This year, they say it's a little bit more, increasing the numbers and families.
But it's the thousands of unaccompanied minors that's straining resources in Texas, with the Biden administration refusing to turn away any unsupervised child. Currently, the average number of unaccompanied children apprehended each day is almost double the amount back in 2019. The influx is proving too much to handle, as space inside many border facilities is becoming scarce.
These kids are turning themselves in at the bridges. They're asking for political asylum. They're asking to have their day in court. And so we need to realize that that's the issue.
The children are causing the most concern, but could also be sources of crucial information.
Learn whatever they can from those children so that we will have information that will allow us as a state to begin to crack down on human trafficking.
If there are coyotes, if there are smugglers, let's get them, Governor Abbott. And again, you need to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Sending National Guard troops and highway patrol officers to the border doesn't solve anything.
President Biden says new migrant facilities are expected to open soon in San Antonio and San Diego, creating new space for roughly 5,000 children. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, more and more U.S. communities are getting vaccinated. It's a success story that's attracting attention from out of the country.
Our number one goal is to give vaccines so that we can protect our community.
More on a small Texas town now seeing more daily flights from Mexico with passengers who are coming just to get COVID vaccines.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
This weather forecast is being brought to you by William Mattar. Welcome back, everyone. I'm meteorologist Monica McNeil, and it was so warm today. Our high temperatures were in the upper 70s. Look, folks, that's almost 25 to 30 degrees warmer than average for this time of the year. But these warm temperatures are not going to last. We're going to see some changes as we're beginning to see rain showers moving into our forecast as early as tonight. Here's a look at future radar to show you at about 10 p.m. we'll begin to see showers developing, and most of this activity is moving up from the south. So we're seeing showers down around St. Mary's, and as we push the clock till about midnight, you'll begin to see those showers closing in on us. So the rain will be around through the overnight hours. As we move toward Friday morning, we will then experience some more moderate rainfall. So when you see that bright yellow, that's an indication of some heavier activity. So we'll see some moderate rain by about 5 o'clock in the morning. And again, most of these showers will be sticking with us right on through the first part of your morning, then will reemerge later on in the afternoon. We've got an area of low pressure that is going to be pushing through, and that's producing all of that activity. So your forecast lows for tonight: rain moves in. We'll see a south-southeast wind at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures, low temperatures in the upper 50s. Here is that area of low pressure I was telling you about. That's going to be crossing the area. As it does, this low pressure will deepen, and it will create quite a few strong winds for us, as well as producing some of those showers that we're going to see. And our temperatures won't be nearly as warm on Friday as they were today. Let's take a look at your high temperatures. We're looking at partly cloudy skies and warm with showers in place, and our temperatures will be in the 60s just about everywhere you go. We're looking for temperatures right around the low 60s. All right, let's take a look at what you can expect over the next couple of days. So for Friday morning, we'll see some showers around, and it is going to be quite windy out there. You will notice the difference. And then as we head toward the overnight, temperatures will be in the upper 30s. Going into Saturday, really nice day. Sunshine, 62 for the high. And I do want to remind you that these temperatures are still way above average for this time of the year. So if you are shocked by the temperature on Monday, don't be, because that's pretty much where we should be. On Sunday, we'll see another cold front come through. We'll begin to see showers likely on Sunday. So if you're heading out to church, make sure you got the umbrella ready for yourself. 62 for the high. And then look at the low. The overnight low drops to 30. Windy and much cooler come Monday, as our highs will only reach the upper 40s. That's a look at your forecast. We will be back with more news coming up.
A new analysis of COVID-19 figures shows the number of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are all dropping fastest for some of the most vulnerable Americans. Mandy Gaither breaks down the data in today's Health Minute.
When it comes to COVID-19, they're some of the most at-risk Americans. But a new CNN analysis of CDC data shows those 65 and older are now seeing the largest decline in COVID-19 case rates, hospitalizations, and death rates out of any other age group. The data comes as the U.S. passes a milestone this week.
70% of Americans age 65 and over have now received at least one shot.
The latest CDC numbers show weekly hospitalizations among that demographic dropped 83% over 9 weeks between early January and mid-March, and death rates were about 96% lower.
We intend to keep up this progress until all Americans are vaccinated.
While the average number of new daily COVID-19 cases climbed slightly across the U.S., 2 new papers published in the New England Journal of Medicine are adding to a growing body of research showing COVID-19 vaccines are extremely effective in preventing infection in the community.
Every day, 2.5 to 3 million people get vaccinated. So every day we get closer and closer to that extraordinary degree of effectiveness which we're seeing at the community level. And at the end of the day, that is what it is that is going to end this pandemic in this country.
Now, the next phase of getting shots in the arms of more Americans, at least 5 states have expanded coronavirus vaccine eligibility to anyone 16 and older, and at least 20 more plan to do the same by the end of April. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
More and more U.S. communities are getting vaccinated, a success that's even drawing attention from outside the country. In fact, a Texas news station received a tip that multiple flights are now arriving daily from Mexico with passengers who are coming to the U.S. just to get COVID vaccines. Matt Kinchler reports from Amarillo.
City of Amarillo Director of Public Health Casey Stoughton says Amarillo Public Health has been designated a hub for the state of Texas for the COVID vaccine rollout.
One of the benefits of being a hub is that we're allocated a steady number of doses of vaccine every week, and so right now that's been about 5,000 doses of the Moderna vaccine each week.
But because of this, it is catching the eye of people from out of state, even out of the country. This doesn't seem to be an isolated incident with multiple flights coming in per day from Mexico. In fact, it seems to be running like a well-oiled machine. The flights leave from just west of Mexico City, and after a stop in San Antonio, apparently to clear customs, they arrive in Amarillo. They then take a short shuttle ride from the airport directly to the Civic Center, get their vaccine, and then head back to the airport. When asked about people flying in from other countries, Stoughton says they don't have the ability to know why people are in the country.
We have lots of visitors to our country for lots of reasons, and so we don't have the ability to know if somebody's here on a work visa or if they're, what their reason to be here is for. Our number one goal is to give vaccines so that we can protect our community.
Many believe vaccines for people from another country is a gray area. That isn't our community, and wealthy foreign elites seem to be taking advantage of the system.
We're following those state guidelines, and the state is following federal guidelines. And so it doesn't really matter where you live, as long, if we're here and we're within 6 feet, then we're potentially exposed. And so it's important that we're able to vaccinate people, and we're doing that. We're following the state's rules on that.
Starting March 29th, the vaccine is available for all adults.
Like we are seeing here in Amarillo, there's more appointments available, lines are a little shorter, so it's certainly time to open that up to more people who are eligible, so all adults.
The CDC is advising against travel during the spring and summer to avoid the spread of COVID-19, but after more than a year of the pandemic, many are eager to take a vacation. Mandy Gaither has some tips if you are planning to travel in 2021.
As more vaccines become available, more Americans are expected to travel.
People are going to venture out.
The CDC still recommends avoiding non-essential travel, but if you do take a trip, AAA's Jeanette McGee says to ask questions before booking.
If you're planning vacations at a hotel and are excited to use the pool may or may not be open. Hotel restaurants may or may not be open, as well as health facilities.
Hotels may also have new protocols like virtual check-in, and if flying,
not all the in-flight amenities are going to be available. So are food and beverages available for you? That's something you need to contact the airlines to understand.
AAA says road trips are always popular over the spring and summer. The agency expects this year to be no different.
It gives you the convenience of your own car, you decide who you're traveling with, where you're going, and when you're stopping.
But beware, AAA says gas prices are climbing and may continue to be through the summer.
Today's national average is $2.87. It's the most expensive price we've seen since actually May of 2019.
And if you do venture out, AAA says it's a good time to have a travel agent.
They can help you navigate travel insurance if those are options for you. They can help you understand what's open and what's not, both domestically and internationally.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Lowe's is celebrating spring with a new giveaway. The store chain is giving out free garden-to-go project kits to customers next month. The gardening kits include a variety of gardening products like saplings, seeds, and even recipes. Those kits can be picked up curbside. Families do have to register for them first. Registration kicks off on April 1st, with the first kits being given out on April 8th. Lowe's says it will put up more details on its Garden-to-Go giveaway on its website. A head custodian for a North Carolina elementary school does so much more than just clean. The kids and the staff love him, and the feeling is mutual. So when he didn't win a state award, families created one for him. Margaret Kavanaugh has the story.
Raymond Brown thought he was meeting up with his family to celebrate his 38th wedding anniversary. Surprised by the Edenton community, gathering to honor the man they call Mr. Brown, the head custodian at White Oak Elementary.
The quiet hero of our school.
He's kind of our rock, the foundation of what we do here.
And does much more than just cleaning and keeping the grounds.
He works really, really hard to build relationships with the students.
Going through the school, some of the kids said, Mr. Brown, I wish you were my father, I wish you were my grandfather.
One student he showed love to was Adrian Wood's youngest boy, Amos, who has autism.
He got to being attached to me, and I got attached to him. So I gave him the name Famous Amos.
The nickname Famous Amos caught on.
And then everybody was like, well, Amos is pretty cool, you know, and he might not be the kind of friend that plays with me or talks, but children really gravitated towards him, which for me, the mother of a child with a disability, is all I want in life for him.
Last year, they say Mr. Brown was nominated for the North Carolina School Heroes Award, but didn't win. So this mom rallied the community to give him their own award. And a $35,000 check, calling it the Famous Amos Award.
My whole life, I've sat in church and uttered the words, to give is much more than to receive. But I've never really had that concept hit home like it did on Saturday.
I'm just an ordinary custodian that work and, trying to make the school safe, clean.
This mother says we need to recognize more people like Mr. Brown.
That are doing really good work and get overlooked.
Teaching kindness, compassion, and being a mentor to so many children.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight, so here's something cool. This is a new image of a supermassive black hole. The black hole is at the center of a galaxy 55 million light years from Earth. The first image of this black hole and its shadow was released back in 2019, but this one shows the cosmic body in polarized light. By analyzing the polarized light around the black hole, astronomers were able to map magnetic field lines near the hole's inner edge. You can see streaks showing light oscillating in a specific direction. That indicates the strength of the magnetic field. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.